The next day, when he came looking for me, there was another girl by his side, a soft-spoken, gentle green tea type. The way she looked at me was full of mockery and provocation. Her name was Luna Mitchell. It turned out, the most painful thing wasn't being ridiculed by strangers or having my pride trampled. It was that the person I liked the most was standing right next to her, allowing her to humiliate my feelings without a word. Just as I was ready to give up, the following morning he suddenly showed up at my house, holding the family register in his hands. It was August, the start of the school year. Everywhere I looked were fresh, energetic faces. But among the crowd, only Ethan Grant caught my eyes. He was about 6 feet tall, wearing a white shirt and black athletic pants. A gentle breeze swept through, lifting the thin strands of hair across his forehead. He looked a little annoyed that the wind had messed up his neatly styled hair and casually used his long fingers to brush it back. The sight of him left me frozen. I couldn't look away. Even though I regretted not getting into my dream school in New York City, staying here in Southport didn't seem so bad. From freshman military training all the way to the second semester, I quietly followed him from afar, never once daring to disturb him. Until one day, my roommate told me she thought he already had a girlfriend. A small flower like me, trying so hard to bloom silently, was it destined to wither before I ever had the chance to blossom in front of him? My roommate, Rachel Miller, poked my back playfully. "Luna, where's your head at? Our class president has walked way past us already." Rachel wasn't in my class, but we lived in the same dorm. Coincidentally, she shared classes with Ethan. Thanks to her, I learned that he sometimes went alone to the bookstore on weekends. "Rachel, a guy as outstanding as him, other than occasionally working together as class officers, do you really think someone plain like me even stands a chance? I don't have the courage to step through that door. I know exactly where I belong. Come on, it's only the beginning. What's the worst that could happen? You get rejected. A girl has to love herself first before she can love someone else. Don't sulk anymore. Let's go grab noodles at Old Friends." Rachel was always so optimistic and carefree about everything. She was right. If he already had a girlfriend, there was nothing left for me to worry about. I didn't even have the right to compete with her. Fine, let's go eat noodles. But the moment we stepped into the campus dining hall, I saw him. "Hey, class president, mind if we sit with you?" Rachel asked in her usual friendly way. She could talk to anyone. "Whatever," Ethan replied coolly. He really was distant, and yet somehow, that was exactly the type I fell for. I kept sneaking glances at him. It wasn't until I finally sat down across from him that I noticed the girl sitting beside him, gentle, fair-skinned, and undeniably beautiful. So that was his girlfriend? My mind instantly spun out 1,000 scenarios. I had stolen glances at him countless times, my heart pounding wildly, always afraid that if I stared too long he might notice. Even the way he ate his meal was refined, graceful, without making the slightest unpleasant sound. And because of that, my heart sank even deeper. "Sit down and eat with us, the more the merrier," the girl beside him said warmly. She wasn't pretentious at all, just open and friendly. By the time we finished our noodles at Old Friends, Ethan Grant and that girl were still sitting there together. The campus dining hall was crowded, people streaming in and out, and before long Rachel and I headed back to our dorm. I tried to suppress the disappointment in my chest, answering Rachel's chatter while my thoughts were drifting elsewhere. "Luna, that girl was really pretty today. Honestly, she might actually be Ethan's girlfriend. Guess it's true, top students always end up with beautiful girls." Rachel was blunt as always, never one to hide what she thought. "Yeah, she's very pretty. And he deserves someone outstanding like her," I replied quickly, dodging the topic, not wanting to dwell on it. "Come on, he didn't introduce her as his girlfriend. Who knows, maybe you still have a chance." I knew she was only saying that to comfort my bruised heart. A guy as brilliant as him, who wouldn't fall for him? But still. "Ethan, is that really the type of girl you like?" We kept whispering our late-night talks until curfew, then climbed into our bunks to sleep. The school rules were strict, but that wasn't all bad, it made everyone a little more disciplined, me included. Every night before room checks, I would already be lying quietly in bed. From that moment on, I began to sink deeper into the small world I created for myself. Opening my diary, I wrote another line on the latest page. October 20th, 2018. Sunny. Met him by chance at the dining hall. He ate with such focus, just like a prince stepping out of a fairy tale. If only there wasn't already another Cinderella sitting by his side. I locked the diary, hugged it tight against my chest, and slowly drifted into sleep. From that day forward, this little pink diary stayed with me through every day and night at school. If only one day, I could hold him for real, how wonderful that would be. On graduation day, Rachel dragged me into a group photo with him. In the blink of an eye, school was already over. He wore a black cap and gown, looking elegant, refined, perhaps even gentler than before. Or maybe it was just the robe making him appear softer. His eyes, though, were still as distant and cold as ever. I lowered my head, unable to meet his gaze any longer. Of course. I was only 5'3", while he stood at 6 feet. Without saying anything else, that gap alone was enough for him to never look at me that way, wasn't it? Not to mention my skin, sun-kissed like young barley, something that would never turn porcelain white. My hands and legs were a little stubby too. The more I thought about it, the more insecure I felt. And yet, he was still the reason I kept pushing myself forward, striving to become someone better. Ethan Grant had felt those burning eyes following him for years. And with Rachel Miller occasionally, whether by accident or on purpose, asking about his personal life, he had long known that the girl named Luna Mitchell liked him. Now that graduation had come, maybe it was time to start thinking seriously about who might stand by his side for life. He had never wanted to hurt that sincere girl. She wasn't strikingly beautiful, but she was patient, genuine. There was always something quietly captivating about her. What was it? Perhaps her steadiness, her seriousness, that feeling of someone you could only treasure with the utmost care. He wasn't really as cold as he appeared, he only pretended to be. He didn't want his scars and his background to be dragged out for ridicule again. He didn't want to hear sweet words of love from someone, only for them to leave the moment they learned the truth. He feared his stern face might frighten her away. And yet, deep down, he wished she would give up on him. After all, he was Ethan Grant, a man who didn't even know who his own father was. As a boy, he had asked over and over, chasing after his mother day after day, "Where's my dad? Who is he?" His mother grew impatient, while his grandmother would simply say that his mom never mentioned that man, he might as well be dead. From then on, Ethan stopped asking. He gave up on ever having a father. He had been born a stain, unworthy of her pure affection. Born missing the love of a complete family. He was afraid he would never learn how to love her properly. And yet today, on her graduation day, she looked so beautiful. Not just in appearance, her gestures, her words, her calm grace, everything about her moved him. But he told himself again, no. I can't. Ethan's eyes followed Luna's back as she walked farther and farther away, and a wild, desperate storm rose inside his chest. He raised his camera and snapped a photo of her retreating figure. More than anything, he wanted to throw everything aside and run after her. To tell her, "I like you too. Ethan, what are you standing there for? Let's go. The guy's already booked a room, we're just waiting on you too," his roommate Paul Benson called out. "Luna Mitchell, if I could see you again one day, when I've finally become the best version of myself, how great that would be. Luna, you here yet? I'm standing outside the movie theater already, hurry up, hurry up." I had to hold my phone far from my ear to withstand Rachel's booming voice. Internally, I sighed, after all these years since graduation, she still hadn't changed one bit. "On my way, big sis. If you keep yelling like that every day, my poor brain is going to give out," I teased. Her naturally loud voice was enough to make me worry that one day I might actually go deaf because of her. Since leaving school, Rachel had been the only one I stayed truly close to. As for my coworkers, they weren't bad, but I never felt like I could share my heart with them the way I could with her. I never hurt anyone, yet I always feared being hurt by others. After graduation, I stayed in Southport, holding on to a small shred of hope that maybe, someday, he would appear again. It's been 5 years now. My family kept urging me to get married, but I remained single. Eventually, my parents stopped pushing. To them, I was never that beautiful to begin with. If I couldn't find a husband, it wasn't a surprise, the family could still support me. But no one ever felt right to me. Every night, I still fell asleep clutching my diary. I wondered, was Ethan Grant married by now? Or was it finally time for me to let go? Enough. My head ached from thinking too much. I slipped on a white dress, low-heeled shoes, and left the house to meet Rachel Miller at the Foster family's place. A year ago, he had already said, "Back then, you didn't want me, so don't expect me to change my name now. My whole life, I'll carry the name Grant." Ethan's eyes darkened as he looked at the man who shared his blood. Richard Foster was so furious he nearly smashed something, but he held back. All his life, he had only one child, his daughter, Vanessa Foster. Years ago, before he was married, he had no idea Ethan's mother was pregnant. If he had known, how could he have abandoned her? No one would believe it, but even he felt helpless. That year, a rival drugged him at a business banquet. On the street afterward, a woman pulled him into a small motel. He only remembered that he had slept with her. Everything else, he couldn't trace at all. Someone who was determined to hide herself, how could he ever find her? He only blamed himself. Ethan's grandmother had once saved him, but he never managed to uncover any proof. In the end, everything fell into silence. He searched for years but found nothing. After his parents passed away, he inherited the family business. Marriage came as a matter of formality. After his wife gave birth to Vanessa, she left him, and he never remarried. Richard Foster pulled himself out of the memories, forcing down his anger. "Now you understand why I want you to change your last name. Someday, the Foster family business will be yours. With the Foster name, you'll gain recognition and support far more easily." He tried to appeal to Ethan with blood ties. If people only care about the family name and not the ability, then let someone else do it. You've got plenty of cousins in the Foster family, don't you? The truth was, Ethan never wanted to inherit the Foster fortune. He already had his own company to manage. Think carefully. With more backing, your company could expand faster, Richard pressed on. But when persuasion failed, Richard finally lowered his head and walked back to his room. Ethan watched the frail figure retreating down the hall and suddenly felt a pang of guilt. Maybe I've been too stubborn. "Hey, are you free today?" The thing that gave Ethan Grant the biggest headache was none other than his half-sister, Vanessa Foster. "Don't bother me. If you want to go somewhere, ask your friends your own age." Ethan honestly couldn't understand why girls could be so clingy. "Can I trade in this sister for another one?" "Humph. Fine, if you won't go, then don't come asking me for help later." Richard Foster had spoiled his daughter endlessly, though thankfully she wasn't the unreasonable type. Still, Ethan thought to himself that maybe he was being a little too cold. After all, she was still his sister. Seeing her sulk and storm off, he reluctantly called after her. "Where do you want me to go?" Vanessa froze, excitement bubbling inside her. "Got him. Big brother really is easy to trick. Best brother ever, come watch a movie with me. A brand new film just came out, it's supposed to be amazing." "Fine. But don't cause trouble," Ethan muttered, never expecting to see Luna Mitchell there. In front of the theater, I hugged a box of popcorn, soda in the other hand, scanning the crowd. "Over here, Luna." Rachel Miller shouted at the top of her lungs, afraid I wouldn't see her. Right, with my nearsightedness over 3 diopters, she wasn't wrong. I rushed toward her. "Rachel, could you give my poor diaphragm a break? If you keep yelling like that, the whole world's gonna know my name is Luna Mitchell. I was shy about crowds, uncomfortable with being stared at like an animal in a zoo. Oh please, I was just worried you wouldn't find me. Let's go. She linked arms with me, chattering away excitedly about her love life. But the moment I stepped into the theater, regret hit me hard. Ethan. He was here. And the girl beside him, was she his wife? Stupid. How foolish can you be, Luna? It's been 5 years. Why are you still holding on? I turned my face away, swallowing down tears. Don't cry, Luna Mitchell. You're stronger than this. If you still can't let go, then at least give yourself one last chance. Confess once, and for all. Yes. Don't cry. Tears won't bring love back. At most, they'll wash the poison out. Come on, Luna, don't just stand there in the aisle. Rachel tugged me toward our seats. Too close. Far too close to Ethan. My chest tightened with discomfort. Rachel. I think I'll head back. My stomach hurts, I don't feel like watching anymore, I lied. The truth was, just seeing Ethan again had sent my heart into chaos, my body wound tight as a spring. 5 years, and this is still what you do to me. Maybe he really was married. Wake up, Luna. If you can't cut him off cleanly, then at least crash into the wall once and see. Rachel knew everything, how I felt about Ethan, all of it. She'd never supported me, but she couldn't stop me either. In the end, she agreed to let me go. I slipped quietly out of the theater, lowering my head as much as I could. Finally, outside. But what now? There would always be beautiful women around him. My tears betrayed me, slipping free. I lifted my head, staring toward the sunset hanging over Southport. The sunset was breathtaking, but it was fading fast. Ethan Grant had already noticed the quiet girl at the theater doors. 5 years had passed, and she was still the same, calm, never loud, never chaotic. If she made even the smallest effort to step into his world again, he knew he wouldn't be able to hold back anymore. Seeing her sneak a glance at him and then quickly lower her head left him hollow. Was she really that uncomfortable, just because she saw him? Watching her shoulders hunched as she walked away, a fierce cry rose inside him. This girl, does she see me as a stranger? Ridiculous. He had missed her for 5 long years, even though she never knew. Luna Mitchell, are you crying? The familiar voice froze me in place. Impossible. Don't you remember me? His gentle tone rang out again. Hello. Long time no see, Ethan, I said, trying hard to stay calm, pretending nothing had happened. Stop pretending. What were you crying about just now? His eyes bore into me, filled with emotions I couldn't name. I wasn't. Just dust in my eyes. His tenderness. I wasn't worthy of it. Luna Mitchell, why'd you leave the movie? Why not stay and watch? I wasn't feeling well. Wanted to go home early. I didn't want to bother you and your girlfriend. Goodbye. I turned quickly, fleeing as if chased by ghosts. I couldn't let him see me like this, broken and fragile. But before I could get far, his hand caught my arm. What else do you want? Are you, never mind. Forget it. You're probably married already. For 5 years, I hadn't dared step back into his world, afraid of the upheaval it might bring. A pang of emptiness struck Ethan's heart. So this is what it feels like, to love someone. Maybe he had realized it far too late. Give me your contact. It'll be easier to keep in touch. The day after tomorrow there's a class reunion, you can go with Rachel. Fine. Scan my code. Maybe, just maybe, he was still single. Let me drive you home. It's not safe to be out here alone. All right. But, what about your girlfriend? I braced myself, terrified he'd say she was his wife. It's fine. She's still inside the theater. I'll go back for her later. Ethan didn't realize that those very words cemented my misunderstanding. At the reunion. Luna, come with me, okay? Everyone will be there. It'll be fun. Rachel urged. She was right. I did know quite a few of her classmates. Okay. But I'm not drinking, I said, remembering Ethan's words from the other night. I wanted to go, to finally find out if he had a family or not. The reunion was held at a luxury hotel owned by the Foster Corporation. Every detail personally arranged by Ethan himself. Rachel had found out the news. Of course. He came from wealth. Which only made it clearer, someone like me could never measure up to him. No matter how hard I tried, I could never keep up with his steps. So this would be it, the last time. I'd confess, and then let my heart finally die. Everyone around was chatting, sharing all kinds of funny and frustrating stories from work and business. I knew most of them, but since I hadn't been in their class, I never truly fit in. You're Luna Mitchell, right? Haven't seen you in years, you've gotten prettier. A tall, lanky guy came over, slinging his arm across my shoulder with a drunken grin. The stench of alcohol and his disgusting attitude made me recoil. I stepped back. Thanks, you guys go ahead. I'll just wait here for Rachel. I had no interest in talking to someone like him. Figures, you probably never even dated. Think you're that special? He sneered before turning away. So those compliments were nothing but empty politeness after all. His words stabbed right into my chest, making me want to shrink into my shell like a turtle. I was never good at this kind of socializing, no wonder he had never noticed the good in me. I reached for a bottle on the table and tilted it back in one long gulp. Cough, cough. What are you doing? You can't even drink, so why pretend? It was then I realized Ethan Grant had been standing not far away the whole time. I just hadn't noticed. So you heard everything, huh? But what does it matter, there are always people around you anyway. I can drink. Who says I can't? I grabbed the bottle again, forcing down another mouthful. My throat burned, my stomach on fire from the raw liquor. Luna Mitchell, enough. Why pretend to be strong? Ethan snapped, gripping my wrist tightly. But when my eyes met his, I saw a tenderness there I had never seen before. And what are you to me? What right do you have to control me? Don't think just because I like you, you can trample on me at will. Anger surged inside me. Anger that he knew, maybe even felt, my feelings, but had stayed silent all these years. Fueled by alcohol, I twisted my fingers tighter around his warm hand. Ethan's gaze locked on me, full of emotions I couldn't decipher. His free hand clenched into a fist, whether restraining himself or aching to lash out, I couldn't tell. See? I was right. Silence again. Nothing. Not even the courtesy of an excuse. Was liking him really so cheap, so pitiful? Ethan Grant, out of respect for the years we've known each other, meet me one last time. At the amusement park in Southport. Tomorrow. I didn't care if he agreed or not. I grabbed my bag and stormed off. Ethan watched my unsteady steps as I left. He couldn't bear it, so he quietly followed at a distance. Luna Mitchell, the feelings I have for you, they're far deeper than you think. But now is still not the right time. I can't let them hurt you. Just give me a little more time, please? Ethan Grant followed Luna Mitchell all the way home, only driving off after seeing the light switch on in her upstairs window. That very night, he made a decision that would change everything. Meanwhile, I stumbled into a cab in tears, never knowing he had been silently watching over me the whole way. I even sighed with relief, thank God I hadn't run into anyone dangerous despite drinking too much. When Ethan finally got home, Richard Foster was already waiting in the living room. You're back. I've arranged for you to meet some girls. Tomorrow, you'll go on a blind date. His tone was like a CEO assigning tasks to a subordinate. Ethan felt nothing but disgust at such arrangements. I've told you before, I only come back here once in a while for my mother's sake. Otherwise, I'd rather stay in my own place. And stop interfering with my relationships. I have my own plans. What he hated most was someone trying to control his life, especially a father who had never raised him. Richard's eyes narrowed. Fine. But if you don't bring home a girlfriend within 6 months, I'll keep arranging meetings. And as for the company, you need to step in. Those cousins of yours are circling like vultures, waiting for their chance. This is my life's work. I won't see it destroyed. He wasn't trying to force Ethan into marriage, just desperate to give him a push. Richard could tell his son was hiding something, maybe even someone. A girl. Ethan's reply was sharp. I agreed to manage the company. I'll handle it well. The rest, don't worry. I can take care of myself. He knew exactly what Richard was doing, using his authority to bind him. If not for his mother, Ethan wouldn't even bother giving him the time of day. But the foster relatives had gone too far lately. It was time to clean house. First, he had to settle things with Luna. Then he would deal with the leeches. That night, Ethan sent a message to Vanessa Foster. Tomorrow, come with me to meet someone. Dress a little, green tea. When you talk, act a bit condescending. Don't say anything else except what I tell you. Before he even got her reply, she was already knocking on his door. Seriously, Ethan? A text like that in the middle of the night? Do you think I'm that kind of girl? I'm a sweet angel, thank you very much. Why are you asking me to do something so shady? Vanessa knew perfectly well her brother needed her help, so she was teasing him. Ethan, of course, saw through her act. I just transferred $50,000 into your account. Do it exactly as I said tomorrow. Don't add anything extra. Seeing the payment notification pop up, Vanessa couldn't hide her glee. Thanks, best brother ever. Consider it done. She skipped out of the room with a grin, leaving Ethan deep in thought. All Ethan Grant hoped was that someday Luna Mitchell would forgive him for this decision. The company matters were complicated, entangled with people who weren't easy to deal with. If not for that, he would never have endured so long without going to find her. But after that chance encounter, and her drunken confession tonight, he was finally certain. Certain of her feelings. Certain she was still single. The realization thrilled him beyond words. It was time to teach those people a lesson. Tomorrow, when he saw her again, the first priority would be to get her out of danger. Leaning against the balcony railing, Ethan gazed at the city lights glittering in the distance. All these years, he hadn't let another woman into his life. Was Luna suffering in silence the same way he was? If so, then maybe, they really were meant for each other. Thinking back to that bastard at the reunion, the one who had dared to insult her, Ethan's brow furrowed. He pulled out his phone and dialed. Ring, ring, ring. Ethan. Calling me at midnight? You miss me already? The familiar voice belonged to Paul Benson, his old college roommate and now the owner of a private investigation firm. They'd stayed close over the years. Paul, I need you to dig into Ryan Lee's recent activities, especially his relationships. He crossed the line tonight, insulting Luna. I want to make sure he pays for it. Paul was the first to notice the sparks between Ethan and Luna back at graduation, so he knew exactly what she meant to him. Don't worry. That guy's always had a reputation for being a creep. Figures his habits never changed. I'll dig up everything. Honestly, it'll be my pleasure, Paul said, his voice sharp with anger. Someone like that daring to mess with Ethan's woman, let's see how long he lasts. Thanks, Ethan replied, calm as always, even when offering gratitude. Paul chuckled. What's with the formal tone, man? Acting all high and mighty, huh? Then he hung up. Soon after, rumor spread. Ryan Lee had been exposed by a string of furious ex-girlfriends. Turns out he'd been dating several women at once, playing his dirty little games. After that, no one wanted anything to do with him. He was blacklisted socially, his name in ruins. Of course, he never knew whose hands had quietly pulled the strings to make it happen. Embarrassed beyond repair, his parents kicked him out of the city, sending him back to the countryside, washing their hands of him completely. That same night, after hanging up, Ethan began arranging the next steps. His focus now was the meeting with Luna. The next day, the sun shone bright over the gates of Northfield Amusement Park. A black SUV pulled up to the entrance. Inside the car, a man and a woman were talking. "Ethan, do I really have to go meet this Luna Mitchell girl? I'm scared I won't pull off this whole green tea act properly." Vanessa Foster had never done anything like this before. "You get out after me," Ethan instructed. "I'll open the door first. Then you come down and link arms with me. That's all it takes. She'll step back for a while, won't she?" "Which one is she?" Vanessa muttered inwardly, "God, all of this is your fault, big brother. Don't punish an innocent bystander here." She spotted her. Luna was wearing a white dress, her hair tied back in a ponytail, standing under the second tree to the left of the park gate, holding 2 cups of drinks in her hands. Ethan's sharp eyes found her instantly. That figure had haunted him for years, her image rooted deep in his heart. One of those drinks, he knew, was for him. She still remembered exactly what he liked. He owed her far too much. "Brother, if you like her so much, why hurt her like this? When she becomes my sister-in-law someday, will she hate me for what I did today?" Vanessa followed his gaze, sighing inwardly. How could someone radiate such gentle grace? "Don't worry about what comes later," Ethan said quietly. "Just do what I told you. If I hesitate for even 1 second, I'll regret it." They stepped out of the SUV one after another. Vanessa played her part, looping her arm through Ethan's. I stood beneath the tree, holding his favorite lemon iced tea, waiting for him. The moment I saw him approaching, joy bloomed inside me. But then I saw her. That same girl, her hand wrapped around his arm. I had dressed carefully today, this white dress, his favorite, chosen just for him. I had even picked a time when there'd be fewer people around, hoping to leave the best impression. And him? He brought a girl by his side, one whose eyes were brimming with challenge. The very same girl I'd seen at the movie theater. I forced down my anger, burying my hurt, and smiled awkwardly. "Ethan, you came." Before I could finish, her cold voice sliced through the air. "So you're Luna Mitchell? Humph, dark and fat. With that face, you think you're good enough for Ethan? Ever looked in the mirror?" Her scornful, mocking tone cut into me like 1,000 blades. With great effort, I lifted my head, searching Ethan's face for a reaction. But he remained calm, expressionless, making no move to stop her. So this was it, my feelings for him were worth so little. Not even a single period at the end of the sentence. He let another person trample all over my dignity, even seeming to agree with her words by his silence. While she humiliated me, he stood there beside her, letting every cruel word spill unchecked. So it was true, he really did hate me. "Thank you for coming. Please, let me buy you both these drinks. I just remembered I have something else to do." "Excuse me." With that, I placed the cups down, turned, and left. "That's right, Ethan Grant. Goodbye, and I wish you happiness." As I handed him the drink, our fingers brushed. For a moment, it felt like his finger lingered, hooking lightly against mine. Maybe it was just my imagination, my last illusion. "Goodbye. May we never meet again." I stumbled onto the bus, collapsing into a seat by the window. Through the glass, I could still vaguely make out their silhouettes. The thing I hated most about being nearsighted, no matter how hard I tried, I could never see clearly from a distance. Just the thought of that girl clutching his arm, smiling sweetly as she walked up to me, shattered something inside me again and again. Every word I ever said meant "I like you." Every silence from him meant "I despise you." From beginning to end, even now, he still hadn't said a single word to me. I stared quietly at the rush of cars in the city. Just stared, nothing more. Back under the tree by the amusement park gates. Brother, you're really cruel, Vanessa thought bitterly. Why make me play the green tea role? That Luna girl looked so gentle, so kind. She had almost cried when she saw Luna's face, but forced herself to hold back. She even felt sorry for the girl. Men are heartless. No sense of pity at all. If I ever get a boyfriend, I swear I'll never pick someone like my brother, she muttered under her breath. Another 50 grand. Is that enough to shut you up? Ethan's voice was cold. He didn't want to waste another word on her. What could a pampered heiress like Vanessa possibly understand? Yep. That's my brother, she smirked. For money, she wouldn't even bother arguing right or wrong. If it wasn't illegal, anything was fair game. But Ethan, how can you not see the pain in Luna's eyes? The hurt you just caused her? Still, just this once. From now on, he swore he would never let her suffer again. He sipped the lemon tea she had bought for him. The tartness stung his chest as much as his throat. Just one more time, Luna. Bear this one last humiliation. Next time. I won't let you slip away. Vanessa clutched her drink and skipped off toward the Foster Corporation building. God, it's not even that hot today. Luna really does know how to pick the perfect time for a date. Only Ethan remained, sitting under the tree, silently drinking the tea, his eyes still fixed in the direction where Luna had disappeared. At the very top floor of the Foster Corporation tower. Dad, I'm here. Vanessa pushed open the CEO's office door like it was her own room, striding in without hesitation. Richard Foster adored his daughter and always hoped she would stop by the company more often. He didn't care about business, only that someday she might find a safe harbor in life. Vanessa, could you please be a little more ladylike? Richard winced, her voice ringing in his ears before he even saw her face. Dad, I can't learn that kind of act, no matter what. Her dramatic complaint drew a sigh from the man behind the desk. It was easy, today my brother even made me pretend. Shut it. Vanessa Foster blurted too fast, nearly exposing everything. She slapped a hand over her mouth, but the atmosphere in the office had already frozen. Dad, I've got something to do. Not talking anymore. I'm leaving. Realizing her slip, Vanessa panicked and tried to bolt. But Richard Foster, seasoned by decades in the business world, could smell something off from just a few words. Stop right there. I don't know anything. He just took me to meet that girl, Vanessa winced. Another slip. She wanted to crawl into a hole. Speak properly. No covering your mouth. Or else you'll have no allowance next month. Richard knew his daughter too well, money was the only leash he needed. But you have to promise not to tell my brother. Out with it. It was his idea. He told me to pretend to be his girlfriend just to push away the girl he likes. He never admitted it outright, but I could tell, he definitely likes her. And then, when she ran off hurt, he just stood there, she looked so sad. Vanessa spilled everything in one breath, then peeked nervously up at her father. Crap. He's furious. I'm dead. That idiot, Richard swore under his breath. Who treats a girl like that? But then he paused. Maybe Ethan had his reasons. Maybe pain he hadn't spoken of. Still, Richard could see through it all. At my age, I know when someone's in love. Silence only drives people further away. Mr. Tanner, Richard called his trusted aide, find me everything on Ethan and the girl, Luna Mitchell. But don't disturb them. Within half an hour, a full report lay on his desk. Reading it, Richard nearly stormed off to beat his son. Fool. Loving her for years in silence. What nonsense. That kind of love only pushes her away. Get the lawyers. Reorganize the company shares. Transfer every single share under my name to Ethan. If anyone objects, they can come to me, or they can step aside. And schedule a press conference. Announce Ethan's true identity publicly. All of this, finished by tonight. Richard's hand trembled slightly as he signed. Ethan, this is the only way I can make it up to you. I trust you. And now I can finally prepare to rest easy in my old age. That night, when the news broke, the entire business world was shaken. But the man at the center of it all was still standing at the gates of Northfield Amusement Park, weighed down by regret, unable to leave. A WeChat notification buzzed on his phone, something he had never received from Richard before. Son, I've already taken care of those bastards for you. There's nothing left to worry about. Now go win back my future daughter-in-law. Love left unspoken only pushes her away. For the first time, and even now, the only time, Ethan Grant felt his heart soften as he read the message. This father who had entered his life so late had finally done something that made him proud. Love left unspoken only causes deeper wounds. Love left unspoken. Ethan repeated those words in his mind, each syllable like a splash of cold water. Yes. He had never once said it, never told Luna Mitchell that he liked her. Even when he hurt her, he hadn't given her a reason. Finally understanding, he jumped into his car, drove at full speed back home, and grabbed his family register. When I saw the news, I was having dinner. Ethan Grant, the heir of the Foster family. The Foster Corporation in Southport was famous for its charity work, a dynasty of wealth beyond measure. No wonder, even in rejection, he chose the cruelest way to humiliate me. I wasn't worthy. Not even worthy to carry his shoes. I should give up. That night, I tossed and turned. The newlywed couple in the next apartment made noise every single night, driving me crazy. If I ever get rich, I'll buy a place with proper soundproofing, I swore to myself. By 6 a.m., I had barely drifted off when, ding-dong, the doorbell jolted me awake. Furious, I yanked the door open. Who the hell rings at dawn? And then, for the first time in my life, I was embraced. Ethan Grant, before I even saw his face, was holding me tightly. If it weren't for his familiar scent, I might have screamed pervert, right then and there. Yes, it's me. I'm sorry, Luna. I like you too. In fact, I've liked you even longer than you've liked me. Ethan wasn't good with words. Silence was what he knew best, so just saying those few lines was already more effort than he had ever given anyone. But yesterday, you let that girl insult me. You didn't say a word. And now you're here? Why? She's my half-sister. I'll introduce you someday. But you, Ethan's eyes softened. You've always been the best thing in my eyes. Yesterday, I was afraid someone might hurt you, so I let her speak those cruel words. Luna, are you mad at me? He wasn't sure. He feared his rashness might drive me further away. Why didn't you say it sooner? Why? My tears spilled. If you had spoken up from the start, we could have faced everything together. Because I was afraid, Ethan admitted. I grew up with my grandmother. My father only reclaimed me halfway through my life. I've never truly felt a family's warmth. How could I dare promise happiness to someone else? I was terrified that I wasn't enough for you. Ethan had always lived inside his own world, until I stepped into it little by little, piece by piece. He told me he had once secretly searched for me. He told me again, he liked me. And then, looking straight into my eyes, he said, Luna Mitchell, let's go register our marriage. Luna, do you still like me? The unease in Ethan Grant rose again. His father had been right, love left unspoken only pushes people farther away. And I had run from him so many times already. I lifted my gaze to him, my lips trembling, my eyes filled with longing. Ethan, in this lifetime, you'll only ever bow your head to me, won't you? His lashes were long, his nose sharp and straight, his features strong, his eyes so deep. How could a man possibly stir someone's heart like this? And yet here he was, willing to surrender, but only for me. He feared that his silence in the past hadn't been enough to ease my doubts. Well? Aren't you coming inside to explain yourself properly? I teased, but my heart had already melted completely. The man I had loved for 5 years was now standing here, saying he wanted to marry me. How could I not be happy? Luna, are you sure? Ethan's voice was low, cautious, full of hope.